Merry Christmas, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Yay, let's go. Let's just jump right into it. What do you say? I'll get to the other nasty stories later. This is a fun one because this is an argument we just can't lose. We can't lose. And I'm honored to have back on the James Show the Attorney General for the great state of Texas, Ken Paxton's on. And happy to talk to you today because you filed the lawsuit against the NCAA, against their trans athlete policy. And Ken, the reason why I'm so excited about this is I don't understand how we could lose this lawsuit. Like, what is the argument against what you're making?
Well, I mean, it's Texas law. I guess the only argument is this is a new area because obviously we haven't had a lot of lawsuits about the NCAA telling the public that we have women's sports that is really made up of men and women and deceiving the consumer and everybody involved that that's not actually what's going on.
See, I like that angle. You're not actually attacking the policy itself, but just the general concept of fraud. It's a fraud to say this is women's sports if you have dudes in there. And but what's the legal lily pad that made you jump here? Like, what action happened that made you finally file this lawsuit?
No, I think we just, this is such a shocking new thing in our society where men are allowed to compete in women's sports despite the fact that federal law should protect women's sports. I mean, it was set up to protect women's sports. And now if you have men competing against women, we all know that's an unfair advantage. So I think we just had to be more creative in thinking about how do we attack this. And this was an idea that we came up with in my office to attack something that we feel is wrong and bad for women and really bad for our society.
Okay, well, we had former president and president-elect Donald Trump at the America Fest last night, and he said he was going to make an executive order saying we only recognize two genders. Can I play this for you real quick?
Under the Trump administration, it will be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Would that do anything to help an issue like this, Ken Paxton?
Yeah, I was actually I was about 25 feet from him when he said that. I was at the speech yesterday morning, actually. So, yeah, I think more momentum that we can get towards pointing out the ludicrousy of this and the wrongness of it and the illegalness of it. It certainly helps that the federal government is adopting the opposite position that Joe Biden's adopted, which is he apparently encouraged and has encouraged men to compete against women, which is, I mean, in most people's minds, I think it's pretty crazy.
Well, as a layman, it seems like you guys have a lot more legal leeway considering this isn't a private entity, the NCAA. All the participants are colleges, which are government institutions, taxpayer-funded institutions. Are all getting government checks, government employees on government grounds, wearing government logos. And to say y'all shouldn't have a say-so, I don't understand how we would lose this in court.
No, I think you're right, and you've hit on an angle that's important. This is not a private, business or a private entity. This is a publicly supported taxpayer dollar grouping of institutions that we all support. So they should be required to follow both federal law and Texas law. And if they're defrauding consumers and defrauding our public, they ought to be held accountable for it. So we're asking both for an injunction to stop it and 2, damages for misleading consumers.
I like the sound of that. All right. So what are the other big lawsuits that you have going on that you wish were getting more media attention?
Well, we filed one right before the election, and we wish we could have filed it sooner. But we were trying to figure out why we have 450,000 people on our rolls who had any kind of ID. And we're not allowed to verify citizenship, and the federal government is required then to verify it for us. So we actually sent that into them. They did not respond, which was not surprising because the Biden administration is not about following laws. We had to sue them. So I think that's an important lawsuit to figure out, what the truth is. How many of these people on there were voting illegally? And if that's true in Texas, we can extrapolate it beyond Texas. So, hopefully all 450,000 people were legal, but it is a question in my mind. Why were all these people on the rolls without any kind of ID?
All right, and my last question here is, I know this isn't really your jurisdiction, but I'm sure you have some strong opinions on the fact that you all right?
It's a fire alarm.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, don't burn up on account of the James Show. I'd rather you live.
I'm not worried about it.
Okay. So the president commuted the death row sentences of almost all of the federal death row inmates. I mean, I guess he can do that, but that doesn't seem right.
No, this is the first time. I think this is the most. Sorry about the loud noise.
It happens.
This is the most number of commutations that we've ever seen. I think Obama had 330, and this guy is doing 1,500. And if you look at some of the people he's commuting, I mean, they look like some pretty bad people.
Yeah, Boston Marathon bomber, some other mass shooters. It's ugly. We'll get into that on the next segment, but I'll let you go before you die in a fire. Ken Paxton.
No, sorry about that.
No, that's all right. It happens. Right. Live radio that makes it more authentic. All right, thank you very much.
Hey, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. If he survives, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. I'm really going to feel bad of making all these jokes if there really is a bad fire and he narrowly escapes with his life or whatever. I'm sure he's fine. I mean, how many fire alarms have you been in that are real? Probably zero. All right, 800-288-9227 if you have any comments on what's going on thus far. Because I'm going to ask you some of the same questions I was asking your Attorney General. Number one, what's going on with this NCAA trans lawsuit? Like, how could we possibly lose this? How could there possibly be some sort of angle where they pull off the win here and we lose in court? I think I'm just blind because I'm really good at the devil's advocate stuff. I'm really good at taking my own arguments or your argument and poking holes in it, whether I agree with it or not. I don't know what a good counter argument is to this trans NCAA policy. If you got one, let me know. 800-288-9227. And then, you're going to hear a little bit more about because it just happened this morning. You hadn't heard me talk about it before. President Biden commuted the sentences of almost all the death row inmates. It'll be really interesting when you find out who he didn't commute the sentences of. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. It's the Christmas Spectacular on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Listen, I'm going to be doing some Christmas topics later because this is going to be my last live show before Christmas. Tomorrow, we're going to start the Christmas special at noon here on WBAP. So, in lieu of The James Show, you're going to get, I guess, some of this Christmas music, which I know it's not as good as The James Show, but it means I get to be off. So it's great, actually. It's better than The James Show. I'm not inherently lazy. Just, can I have Christmas, please? I really didn't take any days off. Actually, I take that back. Before I started this job, my wife had booked a cruise like a year before, and I had to take that in January. So since the second week of January, I hadn't had a day off. Like, James, what about the 4th of July? Yeah, you weren't here. I did a show. What about your birthday? What about Labor Day? Yeah, I worked on Labor Day. What about Columbus Day? You know what? I even did Columbus Day. And I even went so far. You know how much I love you? How much I love my audience? I even worked on Arbor Day. You don't even know what that's for, do you? Some news actually happened, though. Before we get to the Christmas stuff, I can't leave you all ignorant about what's going on in the world. Really, because it's hilarious. Joe Biden commutes the sentences of almost everyone on federal death row. ABC has the report.
Good morning, Rebecca. Just moments ago,
Rebecca.
President Biden announced he's commuting the sentences of nearly every prisoner on federal death row. Instead of execution, these 37 inmates will now serve life sentences without the possibility of parole. Now, only 3 men will remain on federal death row, including one of the Boston Marathon bombers and 2 mass shooters. President Biden's actions today will prevent the incoming Trump administration from carrying out execution sentences for those 37 individuals. Trump has vowed not only to reinstate the death penalty, but to expand its use.
All right, you ready for the big whopper to come up here at the end? Now that you got the good summary from ABC? Oh, this is so great. Just think about the 3 guys that aren't commuted.
As a devout Catholic, President Biden believes that the death penalty should only be used in cases of terrorism and hate-motivated mass murder.
Hate-motivated
The White House is
mass
signaling
murder.
this morning that there could be more clemency to come in the few weeks that President Biden has left.
Do you understand what that means? Not mass murder, hate-motivated mass murder. So mass murder's okay, but damn it, we draw the line at racism. What the? Are you serious? ABC, dude, you didn't just say that, did you? You didn't. I guess he said it and they just repeated it. But look, I guess they accidentally admitted the truth. Racism is a more heinous crime than mass murder itself. Wow. The other big question that comes, because he announced this morning, is at the end of last week in the Wall Street Journal was a big breakdown with all kinds of sources in it. And I'm not going to go through the article, but they were basically documenting Biden's decline and saying this dude has only had like 8 cabinet meetings his entire presidency. Every one of them had questions that went out to the cabinet members. They had to submit their questions in advance, and he would come back and he would read prepared responses. There was no live cabinet meeting. There was no consultation. All of that was a show. They have been hiding him. Every interview has been carefully scripted. Every press conference carefully scripted. All these people are coming out now admitting, look, there's no help much for the narrative to keep this guy going once, we already have him in the rearview mirror almost. And it actually came up over the weekend on some of the cable news shows. I thought they would just try and bury it completely instead of trying to let people explain it out. Here's the report first from News Nation. I love these little second-tier right-wing networks that are popping up. News Nation has
President
a summary.
Biden weighing the final 4 weeks of his presidency. The countdown comes amid a new bombshell report from the Wall Street Journal highlighting the 46th president's rapid decline in recent years, interviewing nearly 50 people around the president.
50.
Now, administration officials detailing how he would grow, quote, tired if the meetings went long and would make mistakes. At events, aides would repeat instructions that should be obvious. For example, how to enter or exit a stage.
Yeah, we saw that.
The report reading, quote, presidents have always had gatekeepers, but in Biden's case, the walls around him were higher.
Yeah,
the controls greater. According to Democratic lawmakers, donors, and aides who worked for Biden and other administrations. There were limits over who Biden spoke with, limits on what they said to him, and limits around the sources of information he consumed. His administration has denied Biden has declined.
Okay, I know your mind's not blown because you and I saw that for more than the last 4 years. We saw it before he was elected president the first time, or the only time now. But doesn't it feel good to actually see it admitted on TV? Some of the people that have been hiding him are now talking. That's great. So what do they say about... I can't believe they brought it up. Let me give you Chris Coons. He's a Democrat on Capitol Hill, excusing Biden. He's not in decline.
There was a report in the Wall Street Journal that was pretty detailed and pretty well sourced, outlining concerns about the president's mental and physical fitness going back to the start of his presidency, even cabinet members who were kept at arm's length. Is that true?
I don't know whether cabinet officials were or were not kept at arm's length.
Were there concerns
I know that
about him?
for years, the way I communicate with President Biden is not by hanging out at his house on the weekend or traveling with him overseas, but he calls me when he's got questions or concerns. And I'll remind you, in just the fight of the last couple of days, there are Republicans who've been saying that Joe Biden once again outsmarted them politically.
Nobody said
so which
that.
one is it? Is he a savvy political operator
Nobody
who
said
outsmarted
that.
them?
Not
Someone
one person.
Who had the sense to step back and let them keep fighting with each other, and in the end got exactly the spending bill that he and his administration and Democrats in Congress had been fighting for? Or is he someone who's completely AWOL? I think it's the former.
Yeah, see, they're not hiding him out. He's strategically staying out of the fight. Don't you love this narrative? You heard it when we were talking about it on Friday's show because Pocahontas was saying that too. Oh, he's staying out of this because he's so smart and this is part of his strategy.
President Biden has been very quiet on this. Are you surprised that he has not weighed in more?
Right now, he's just watching the Republicans eat each other alive. And the Republicans are in charge in the House. They have to initiate the spending bill that gets us this ongoing resolution.
Yeah, it's all part of his master plan. He's a genius that's outwitting the Republicans. Stop with that. We know better. You already kicked him out of the race because he was a buffoon and he wasn't all there. If he was so smart and a genius, he would still be the candidate. Y'all kicked him out in June. Y'all already admitted in June that he wasn't all there. He's not outsmarting anybody. Jonathan Capehart was asked about this on the weekend shows, too. I believe this was on CNN, ABC. I forget which one. MSNBC. There it is. Jonathan Capehart. He's good for a soundbite.
If there's going to be a shutdown of government, let it begin now under the Biden administration, not after January 20th under Trump. And no response from President Biden himself. He really seems to have abdicated the bully pulpit.
No. Why should President Biden get in the middle of a Republican on Republican food fight melee? Why should he? If this were any other time, any other president, everyone would be saying the president is staying out of it because when your opponent is digging the hole, just let them dig the hole. So that's what I think was up with President Biden.
So, yeah, some guy gets hidden, goes AWOL, and he gets praised for being a brilliant strategist and outsmarting the Republicans. Did he outsmart the Republicans, or was he sitting on the sideline? I mean, I guess you could just fantasize about both, but we all know that this was the guy you kicked out of the race 6 months ago because he can't function. All these people are great. Do they really believe this? I think they know they're lying. I think they, yeah, I know that. I know I'm over. All right, I'll come right back. We got Dr. Bryan Ardis coming up next with some healthcare issues. And if you have any questions on that, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. It's the Christmas Spectacular on The James Show. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show, Christmas edition. I'm your host, James Parker. If you got any comments, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. It's hard getting good medical advice these days. Dr. Bryan Ardis is back on from The Ardis Show. Dr. Ardis, saw an article here, and welcome back, by the way. Merry Christmas, all that good stuff. Hello.
Merry Christmas to you, Jay.
All right, so I saw an article that is putting a lot of blame for the sky-high price of your prescriptions on what are they called, pharmacy benefit managers. Really, the big complaint is on all these middlemen between the drug manufacturers and the final consumer. How do you feel about that? Do you think there's a big part of the blame that goes to middlemen?
There's a massive racket game going on right now that a lot of people are learning about, and it's being in the press a lot lately. And this is all falling on the windfall of doubt at levels you've never seen in medicine, science, healthcare in America. So much doubt's flying around since the COVID-19 pandemic. One of these things is now lay people, most of us who never knew, and most citizens and customers who hold policies with insurance companies have no idea that the majority of profits from prescription medications actually go to someone called PBMs, which are pharmacy benefit managers. All right, this is what you're referencing.
So help me with this. They came on my radar probably 12 years ago, whenever Obamacare was being debated back in the day. So what would that be, 2011? And they kept coming up, and when they have the USA Today list of the top 10 paying professions in America, pharmacy benefit managers is usually in the top 10% of the highest paid people, and they don't do anything. They're just the conduit from manufacturers to pharmacies.
Yes, they do. So that's exactly who they are. I'm glad you are aware of it, but most people were not aware that this is the majority of where the money for your prescriptions go. What you're seeing is like GoodRx and these other companies being marketed as ways to go to specific pharmacies to receive higher discounts or rebates on certain prescription medications. The GoodRx and these other groups, this is not a PBM, but this is a way in which PBMs work. They drive discounts, they drive rebates, and then you are going to be solicited to go get your prescriptions from these pharmacies that are owned by these huge insurance conglomerates and pharmacy benefit manager companies. They own the pharmacies, and they will recommend deals and rebates if you go and shop at our pharmacy. Now, the rebates actually look like they're going to be given to you. They are not given to you. These are these are coupons to get you to buy their prescription medications from them. But the actual patient and their health insurance is being charged full price, even after the copay. And often they don't even take your payment that you apply to a medicine. If you're still within your deductible period, those drugs don't get applied. The payments for those don't get applied to your deductible. They come right out of your pocket and never get applied to your deductible. But they charge your insurance company the full price, retail price of the drug. This is how they make massive amounts of profits, by owning the pharmacies, many of them are owned by insurance companies. So they are literally racketeering profits off of offering what appears to be discounts, but they're charging your health insurance the exact same retail price you would have seen before. The only way they're controlling this is because they own the contracts. They own the actual pharmacies that most of them are prescribing to you. And now many of these PBMs are so wealthy that they own and are buying up doctors' offices to be able to tell you what drugs to prescribe, so that in that local area, they ensure you go to their pharmacy.
So I'm sorry, are you Dr. Bryan or Economist Bryan? Because this is not medicine. You're talking about pure economics here. You're singing my song.
100%. It is 100% economic.
Bryan, what's the fix?
Exactly. So what is the fix? The fix is this, and I really do hate to say this, Obamacare made this whole scenario worse, and it made way more profitable the healthcare insurance companies and these pharmacist benefits managers corporations much more wealthy. Why? It forced all self-employees to now carry health insurance policies for all of their employees, which now they're paying in premiums and deductibles for, but they're not going to apply that towards your prescriptions. The PBMs, who now benefit from all these people now requiring to hold health insurance policies, this is the problem. Everybody now is carrying health insurance policies, paying their premiums and deductibles, but are being raked their insurance policy by being charged full retail price. How do you fix it? You have to reduce the burden and requirement of individuals to be given prescriptions. How do you do that? You've better start educating yourself on how to keep yourself healthy and reduce your own need and requirement to manage symptoms that come from what most people don't know and that you're not going to be told. The majority of all symptoms and diseases on Earth, including in America, are simply caused by a vitamin and mineral deficiency. But you're not taught that. You're taught that healthcare comes from drugs and vaccines and surgery. But that is not where healthcare comes from. Healthcare comes from how you take care of your own health. Number 2, get out of your health insurance policies. And I'm not joking. You can carry catastrophic policies under the Obamacare system. They have catastrophic policies that cover up to 100% of emergencies for surgeries and others. But you don't have prescriptions covered. You don't have annual visits covered. And I recommend what I've done for the last 25 years with my 5 children and my family and my spouse. I have not carried health insurance for 25 years. I've carried catastrophic insurance at $120 a month, and it covers any surgeries, any major emergencies, or emergency room visits up to $25,000, 100% without a deductible. That's amazing. So you save a ton of money by not paying out premiums and deductibles for things you're not going to have covered until your deductible is covered. Start asking every healthcare professional you see, and when you're asked to go to a radiology center for a screening test, for an MRI, a CT scan, an ultrasound, start going there and asking this question, and you're going to learn real quickly there is a massive racket on paying with insurance. I promise 100% of you don't know this. In DFW alone, which is where I live, I've been to 10 different MRI and radiology centers with my children for broken bones, ligaments, tears, you name it, and surgeries needed. Every time I've walked in there the last 20 years, this is what I say. I'm not an insurance-paying patient. I am a cash payer. How much will it cost for this MRI? And all of you listening are going to be shocked. Your insurance, if you gave them a Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance card, will be charged $3,000 for every MRI and CT scan. That's what you will be billed by your insurance. If your deductible is not met, you have to pay that full amount until you reach your deductible before they even start paying $1. If you go in there like I have for the last 20 years and say I'm a cash-paying patient, do you know I've never paid more than $250 out of pocket? End of story. I get my MRI, my CT scan, and my ultrasound.
All right, Dr. Bryan Ardis, hang on. I got to cut you off here. Hang on through the break because after this, I'm going to ask you what the heck is frankincense and myrrh. It's a Christmas episode, so we're gonna get some Christmas content in here. We're talking to Dr. Bryan Ardis from the drardisshow.com, thedrardisshow.com. Continuing on the James Show next. If you have any healthcare questions, I guess you can call in 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's the Christmas spectacular of the James Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. We're continuing with Dr. Bryan Ardis from the Dr. Ardis Show, and I saw in one of your recent podcasts here, you were explaining what's frankincense and myrrh. I'm not sure if I know what the heck myrrh is. What is that?
Myrrh is actually an essential oil. It actually is extracted from plants, the myrrh plant. You actually squeeze the bark or the leaves, and you squeeze out the essential oil from the myrrh plant. That's exactly what it is.
So was there some sort of like Middle Eastern Whole Foods that they stopped by on their way?
Exactly right. Yeah, myrrh was very popular back in the biblical times, but as far back as in Egypt's pyramid times and pharaoh times, it was actually used as an essential oil from plants to help with their embalming process. That's how powerful myrrh is as an antibacterial, to actually help reduce the rotting effect of flesh from bacteria. So myrrh and frankincense are amazing.
So would you use that as like a diaper rash treatment or something? Like, why would they give that to a baby?
Actually, did you know that myrrh, yeah, absolutely, great question. So a lot of biblical scholars will say the reason for myrrh being introduced to Jesus Christ as an infant or a child from the wise men was a gift signifying that they recognized that this kid, this child, would one day have a significant burial. Because myrrh in that time period was only known to be assistant in helping them with their embalming process. So to suggest that they brought them gold, which is of obvious massive amounts of value, frankincense, which was a plant essential oil from Boswellia, the plant, they actually would burn that in the temples, and only the highest priests or prophets that went into the temples in that time period would burn frankincense incense as a godly recognized scent or incense to be able to communicate with God. So they recognized Jesus' value with gold, with frankincense, the only essential oil to be burned in temple to communicate with God, recognizing who he was. And that, to summarize, there's going to be an end point, some atonement or death. There's going to be some very significant thing behind his death.
Do we use these
frankincense, myrrh, and gold?
Do we use frankincense and myrrh for anything these days?
Yes, we do. Did you know that it's been proven that myrrh by itself as an essential oil is proven at 0.1% total volume? You can take distilled water and only put 0.1% of the whole volume being myrrh essential oil. It's proven to kill 100% of all bacteria, dormant. That stuff that's lying in your cells and you don't even know it's there, that causes all Lyme's disease. That's already been published in medical research studies all over the world. Myrrh is so powerful an antibiotic. Even when you have Lyme's disease and they put you on antibiotic and then the bacteria goes dormant, scientists and medical professionals know if you use myrrh, you can actually kill off all the bacteria that's even hiding and resistant to bacteria. That's just one example of myrrh. Frankincense, did you know frankincense essential oil has been proven to stop DNA replication of cancer cells?
I mean, you asked me that like a rhetorical question. I didn't even know these things, what they did 5 minutes ago. Right?
Well, your audiences may be familiar. Frankincense and myrrh are essential oils, and people who are in the world of essential oils, as far as healing modalities and products, would know some of these benefits. But I highlight some of the great values of both myrrh and frankincense, which come from plants. And I went through in a show here last week I called What is the Amazingness Behind These Gifts Jesus Was Given? Frankincense and myrrh. Because these are plants, and these plants actually outperform drugs in cancer research and in antibiotic research. Did you also know that myrrh, did you know, your audiences may not know this, did you know myrrh is proven to kill the fungus that causes ringworm and athlete's foot better than any antifungal drug?
You mean Mike Trainer needs to put some myrrh in his shoe?
Exactly right. Do you remember John Madden back in the day? Tough actin, Tinactin, right?
Was that myrrh?
No, that's a drug called Tinactin. However, the actual drug isn't as effective as myrrh essential oil, which you can go buy at Whole Foods. You can go buy online. You can just get the plant extract, put that oil on your feet, and it will kill it better than any drug you buy over the counter or by prescription. These are just some of the natural published massive benefits of these two plants. Oils.
I want to get in one more question. We only have like a minute and a half here. I saw GLP-1, semaglutides, the Mounjaro and Ozempic. They're huge. A lot of people lost a ton of weight. I assumed wrongly that this would be a disincentive for people to go exercise, but I saw like Planet Fitness and Crunch Fitness and a lot of these other places have had their biggest year ever. Is this actually, having some assistant losing weight? Is this actually inspiring people to work out? Because I think I might have gotten that one completely wrong.
There's a couple things, actually. You're coming into the new year, and usually there's a huge amount of effort put into marketing to get people to come in and set new goals for the new year to lose weight. This is the highest membership for gyms period every single year where people sign up for Planet Fitness, LA Fitness, you name it, is this year. So, this month, December and January. So you see this every single year. The Ozempic and Wegovy discussions are very, very popular. Millions of Americans are using them. I have a warning for all of you. They do help you lose weight. What most people don't know, and every medical doctor I meet with and I share with them this information, they immediately stop prescribing the medications to any of their patients. In fact, they call them while I'm with them and cancel their prescriptions or tell them to stop taking it immediately. What you don't know, Ozempic and Wegovy, those two drugs approved by our FDA, are actually for weight loss, diabetes, and heart disease now. Did you know those drugs that you're injecting once a week, doses of into yourself at home? Did you know you're only injecting a venom protein from the Gila monster lizard? And did you know that venom protein is called Exendin-4, EXENDIN-4?
Bro, I didn't know myrrh.
And Wegovys. Yeah, you didn't know myrrh. Y'all don't know this, but you're injecting a venom protein inside of you that causes blindness in 20% of all people that uses it within 1 year, Ozempic and Wegovy. It has a black box warning to cause thyroid cancer in 12 to 36 months. And did you know, listeners, this is a lifetime prescription. They don't give you this for 6 months to a year. It's for life, like a high blood pressure drug. They tell you to take this for life, 12 to 36 months, black box warning from the FDA. You will develop every form of medullary thyroid cancer. But I need everybody to listen to me. That's not the cancer being most diagnosed with Ozempic and Wegovy users within 1 year. Globally, I interview cancer-treating doctors all over the world every week. The number one exploding cancer with Ozempic and Wegovy within 1 year of starting it is all breast cancer in males and females.
Well, with that, Merry Christmas, everybody. You might get cancer, you might be bleeding from the eyes, you might be blind, but at least you won't be heavy anymore. You can find more of Dr. Bryan Ardis at the Dr. Ardis Show, the DRARDIS show.com. Wish we had more time, but thank you very much. Merry Christmas, Dr. Bryan Ardis.
Merry Christmas, and God bless all of you.
Thank you very much. All right, we continue with the James Show Christmas Spectacular next on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Merry Christmas, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Yeah, let's go. Merry Christmas. How you doing out there? Well, we're gonna talk some Christmas stuff as soon as we get done with all the news, and we haven't gone through it yet. And I've been trying to delay talking about this because it's absolutely horrific. But I got David Hamilton from America's Future Series in here with me, and he's real good on these tough topics. David Hamilton, when we talk about, thank you, studio audience is happy to see you, David. When we talk about these foreign policy issues, sometimes we're not talking about things that are happening overseas. There was a lady that was lit on fire on a subway from a foreign national who had been previously deported and then came back, and I think he was a catch and release situation. But oh my goodness, this is sort of could be the poster child of why people are clamoring so hard to control the border.
Absolutely. This was clearly a horrific one. This is, sort of beyond the pale. It's hard to imagine something like this. But every country has bad people. We have bad people. Every country does. The idea, though, is that we don't need to import any. And if we identify that they are an absolutely bad, evil person, they should be sent home. And that is a nonpartisan question. Somehow, though, that even something like that can be politicized, which is almost unimaginable. That person and all the others, et cetera, I think we all should agree that if someone is a criminal, whether it's a petty criminal or a serious criminal or a horrific one like this, we have to do everything we can to keep them from coming in. And once we find them, they have to be sent out or put in prison.
Well, is it I hate to be so reductive, but this seems like a simple fix. Put our army on the border. Don't let anybody come through except for the official points of entry, and then vet them all. Is that insane? Is that impossible?
No, it's absolutely possible. Every country in the world manages its borders in the way you're talking about. If they have to, most don't have to deal with the mass influx that we have. We have some of the poorest countries in the world south of us, and we're the country that people want to move to, despite how evil and awful we are. Right? How we're told every day that America.
I imagine Moldova doesn't have to spend a lot of money patrolling its borders.
Surprisingly, they don't have to worry about that. So here we are. Everyone would like to live here, and there are a whole bunch of folks trying to make a better life for them. Absolutely. This means our task is harder, that every country has the same policy, and people who say that the immigration policy or the system is broken are lying. Every country says X number of people come from Y country for Z reasons through whatever process. Every country does that. We have quotas. Everyone does that. But we have chosen, a portion of our nation has chosen, to let as many people come in because they were voter harvesting. They were not vote harvesting. They were voter harvesting. They wanted a group of people to come in and enable them to have power, which I think is nothing short of treason.
Trump mentioned yesterday taking back the Panama Canal. That seemed like a no-brainer. I can't believe we ever gave it up to begin with, and I thought it was just a matter of time before we take it back. But am I in fantasy land? Is that something that can happen, David Hamilton?
I think that is an absolute non-necessary discussion. We should be having this discussion. We have bigger fish to fry. We have a good relationship with Panama. However, Panama, if you allow people to come into our country, any other country south of our border or north of our border, anywhere, that routinely and intentionally and systemically tries to let people come into our country that they wouldn't let come into their own country. They are not a friend of this nation, and every sanction, political, economic sanction that we can levy against them should be. And it's only because of Trump's harsh rhetoric, his stance on this, that we see Canada and other countries saying, oh, maybe we want to do something about this. You love my term toreador. Maybe Mexico will stop being a toreador and having this turnstile approach to letting people from the south of them come straight through on a conveyor belt.
Give me the latest update on our relationship with Mexico. It seemed like it was going to be bad, and then it seemed like it was going to be really good, and then it seemed like it was going to be really bad again, and it's only been 3 months or whatever since she's in office. How are we doing with our neighbors?
We can't underestimate the power of the cartels. Mexico is nearly, if not actually, a narco state. Those cartels and all the cartels in Central South America have enormous power, and they will do one of two things to you. If you speak up against them, they will actually make you disappear. If you speak up against them and you're too high profile, they'll simply run politicians and fund politicians to get you out of office. So they have enormous amount of power. They have literally gone into prisons where all the guards walked off the prison site and came in and killed every one of their opposing cartel opposition.
Whoa.
So they have enormous power that people don't understand, especially on the border. I'm from South Texas. I work those fields down there. Usually the only Anglo. The people down there are fantastic. However, there is an evil cancer, which is the cartels. And until we cut the head off of those cartels, drive them out of business, you're going to have politicians like this one kowtowing to them. They're making as much money now off of trafficking, sex trafficking, et cetera, as they are on narcotics, almost as much. And so they're simply trying to protect their livelihood, and this is what is keeping politicians down there from speaking up. We have to make it as painful for them, especially around economics, and we need a carrot. I would advocate that we build chip plants in northern Mexico to give the people in that region great jobs, and that we can have an economic partnership with them in exchange for them doing their part in helping us protect our border.
All right, I got 1 minute left. Give me 30 seconds on is ISIS making a comeback, and then 30 seconds on America's Future series.
Yeah, ISIS is making a comeback. They always are. They're never going to go away. The idea that they are going to somehow decide that they love us and it's all good is insane. Those issues in the Middle East have been going on for thousands of years, and there's always an arms race to see which one of them can be the most extreme. Remember, we were friends with the Mujahideen, and when we abandoned the Mujahideen after the Russian war, more radical versions came in and said, you're not radical enough. And there's always one group trying to take over the other. And in order to sort of virtue signal that they are the most, adherent, ISIS and all of the other jihadists are having, they're because of the Israeli war, have a lot of fuel to that fire. And we have to stand strong with Israel, and we have to root out. We have to kill the top people there. Otherwise, we can't. This is going to be worse. It's never going to go away. This is something we simply have to manage.
And America's Future series.
Yeah, we are a nonpartisan think tank and speaker series focused on U.S. global competitiveness and national security. Please have your folks check out our website. I want you to come. I want you to host. We have to talk to your team there. We have an event coming up in April or May, hopefully honoring Governor Abbott. And I'd love for you to come as my guest.
Well, slow down. I don't know what I'm doing next Wednesday, much less April. But yeah, it sounds like something I'd love to be a part of. I owe you for all the time you've given me on The James Show, David Hamilton.
Well, I'd love to break bread with you, and I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you, too. All right, coming up next, you'll hear my genius list of Christmas gift recommendations for your spouse, kids, and parents. Don't worry, I'll still be sprinkling in some news for the rest of the show. But let's dip in some of these Christmas topics because, hey, it's December 23rd. It's time to start shopping for Christmas, y'all. It's officially the last minute. If you don't have that list, you're working on it right now, aren't you? Don't worry. We'll get you all fixed up in about 4 minutes on The James Show. If you have any good ideas or some secrets for the last-minute Christmas shopper, give me a call. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. It's the Christmas Miracle Show on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Merry Christmas, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, good to see you too. Merry Christmas. How you doing? If you got any good Christmas gift ideas, that's kind of been the background topic on today's show. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Now returning to the James Show, immigration attorney with Kate Lincoln Goldfinch Law. Kate Lincoln Goldfinch back on the James Show. Welcome back. Merry Christmas, Kate.
Hi, Merry Christmas.
All right, so let's talk about what's the latest going on with immigration here. There's been a bunch of rhetoric, but I don't think we're really going to see any official changes until Trump gets in office. What are some of the unofficial changes that you see?
I think some of the more enforcement-minded people within the various agencies, the judges, the deportation officers, the USCIS officers, they'll start to make more anti-immigrant decisions. They'll decide to deport someone or decide to deny a case. So you start to see individual agents in anticipation of the new leadership that's to come make decisions that, they align with. That's what we've seen right now. And in anticipation of what's to come, we're all preparing for massive raids and detentions and deportations to start really probably right after the inauguration.
Well, is that something that's going to be focused on illegal immigrants or legal immigrants?
The deportation, I think they're going to focus on people who they're undocumented. The front line will be people who already have deportation orders, and then the second line will be people who are caught up in the criminal justice system that have been booked and processed through the county jail, because those lists are easier for immigration to access. So that'll be sort of the front line, the low-hanging fruit. But then I think we're also going to see a lot of work site raids and even raids just out, in the supermarkets and the places where immigrants tend to gather.
Do you have any guidance for legal immigrants who are looking to duck some of this heat?
Well, I think racial profiling will definitely be a thing, especially on these sweeping raids. And so if someone is in legal status, they should carry proof of their status. So if they have a work permit or a green card or a U.S. passport, they should keep that on them at all times and be able to identify that they're in legal status. On the other hand, if they are, have a work permit, but their asylum case is pending or their status is complicated, my advice would be not to answer questions about what their immigration status is and to only identify themselves if they're being arrested. In the way that all of us are advised not to talk to the police if we're being arrested. It's the same thing about immigration status. If someone is being asked when they came in the country or what their legal status is, it's best to ask to remain silent until they can have their lawyer present.
In Texas this year, we started putting immigration status checkbox on the top of hospital forms. Do you recommend people fill that out, or are you allowed to tell them to skip it, or what's the situation on that?
I don't think anybody should be answering that information. Really, the state of Texas is just looking for data in the aggregate. They're not supposed to be sharing patient information, but nobody has to answer that question, and therefore I think no one should. So everyone should just decline, because it shouldn't affect the type of treatment that people are getting. And if it does, if someone declines to answer that and it changes the way that they're treated, then they could probably bring a complaint or even a lawsuit.
Is there a case to be made that if the health cost is going to be borne by the backs of the taxpayer, that they have a right to know?
Well, that's the point of this project. It's to collect information from hospitals that receive public funding about what percentage of their patients, are in undocumented status. So, I think that is information that the state could attempt to collect, but people also have the right, under privacy laws, not to answer those questions.
Kate, what'd you ask for Christmas?
Oh, gosh. I asked for a new ring.
A new ring? What? You mean like an engagement ring? Is that what you're asking for?
No, I have my 20th anniversary coming up, so I'm getting a new ring.
See, guys, listen to stuff like that. See, that escapes the guy's mind. Guys are way too practical. Like, I would like bullets, or I would like golf balls, or I would like something plain. And women, you're thinking like, this isn't useful, but this is. See, who remembers in the last hour when I was like, your wife wants a status gift, and you just gave me a status gift, Kate?
Yeah, it is. It is one of those. But, 20 years, I think I've earned it, right?
Well, yeah, but did like your sister or one of your close friends get a big, awesome anniversary ring from one of their husbands? Is there a social connection?
Well, no, that's just a kind of a thing out there. You know, these decade anniversaries. Sometimes it's time for an upgrade, I guess.
Oh, no. Well, I've been married 14 years. I didn't get her a big ring for the 10-year anniversary. Am I in the doghouse, Kate?
No, it sounds like you got 6 years to plan.
All right. You know what? I will remember that. When the 20th year comes around, don't get anything practical or fun or get a big, fat ring that she can brag about.
Well, ask her. I don't know. She might be, have her eyes on something else.
What'd you get for your husband?
He got new sunglasses and a new piece of art. But hopefully he's not listening.
No, he's not
he
listening.
Doesn't know yet.
No. All right. Kate, Lincoln Goldfinch, where do they find your work outside of WBAP?
Lincoln Goldfinch Law.
Oh, your phone broke up, but I remember. It's Lincoln Goldfinch Law. If you need an immigration attorney, you like what you hear from Kate, go check out our website, Lincoln Goldfinch, like the bird, Law. Thank you very much, Kate. Merry Christmas.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.
All right, we're going to continue with our James Show Christmas Spectacular coming up.
The most wonderful
I know, I love that song.
time of the year.
I'm going to make the case that in the ghosts of Christmas past, when you and I were kids and young, we used to eat trash. You realize how awful the candy was back then compared to how awesome it is now? Oh, I'll tell you about the Christmas miracle of the evolution of candy in our lifetimes coming up next on The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.